Omagyanatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurmnitanyena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Dandavat pranams to our assembled Vaishnava group here. Grateful to be in your good company. I'm here in Portugal, as you all know. We had Janmashtami, right? We have Radhashtami coming up. And I'll be traveling to London soon on the way to Japan for some more programs there. So that's the news from here. Does anyone want to bring up a topic for today? Otherwise, can go to an archive that I have, collection of questions I haven't answered yet. And Ananta Shesh, I can't remember. There have been so many initiations lately. I can't remember who we already welcomed and who we didn't. Jagannath Priya, I remember. And Nanta Shesh also just received initiation. I can't remember if we already talked about that last week. But in case we didn't, we're so excited that you officially joined the family. Jagannath Priya, who was Julian, is asking, is it possible to offer your emotions? Wow. Wow, that's a beautiful question. That's a beautiful question. Well, I mean, I can say something based on that, but if there's some context to that, that would be helpful because the question is a little abstract. Jagannath Priya, do you want to? I mean, the simple answer is yes. The simple answer is yes, you can offer everything. Um, I mean, there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam saying that in whatsoever way we approach the Lord, we will be uplifted, right? Howsoever we approach him, we will be uplifted, right? And there are examples, that there's, like one example that's given is of Kamsa, right? Kamsa, he's highly Krishna conscious, right? Kamsa in Krishna's divine play, he is the demonic uncle of Krishna. And he's always meditating on Krishna, but in fear, right? But it's in fear, in hatred, but still just the fact that he's meditating on Krishna, that uplifts him. Such is the power and such is the mercy of the Lord. So, everything can be offered. Anything with any connection, anything with any remote connection. There's one history given of, this is quite an extreme example, but just to make the point, there's one illustration given of, it is said that this is how Prahlad Maharaj, he's the famous boy saint, devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev, right? Half man, half lion avatar. But there's a history given how Prahlad Maharaj began his life of devotion, that he was an ordinary man, and he had a girlfriend or some girl that he was in love with, and he brought her, and they and he took her. They were looking for some place, to have their loving exchange. And there was a courtyard in a temple of Nrsimhadev. And so they went to use that space for their exchange. But first he cleans the courtyard before he had his loving exchange. First he cleans that courtyard, and he was doing it for his own purpose, but still he cleaned the Lord's temple. And so it is said that, he got some sukriti, some divine merit from rendering some service in the Lord's temple. And that's how his whole journey began. It started with that tiny, tiny little connection. And then over time, I would presume over some lifetimes, it developed. And ultimately, he became this extraordinary devotee.
Artçı 7'de baş.
Oh, was that an intentional? No, I think it was an accident. Yeah, I see Jagannath Priya is laughing. So, what can I say? How merciful is the Lord? How merciful is the Lord? He is accepting everything. He's accepting everything. And I always try to remember, but I always forget these verses in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is saying, you know, do everything for me, right? And if you can, then try to remember me, and if you can't do that, then do this, right? Maybe someone here can remember those verses better, but he's just so merciful. He's so accommodating. Like any little connection, remote connection with him, he is accepting that and trying to help us to grow that, right? And develop that. So yes, he is the ultimate, purifying center, right? And what may come to him in an impure condition, he can transform it. He can purify it, right? This is the idea, and this is also mentioned in different places in the scriptures, right? That persons may approach the Lord with various intentions, but the idea is that once they can make that connection, their hearts will be purified, right? In Bhagavad Gita, there's these verses, they describe different motivations by which someone may approach the Lord. I'm trying to remember. Arta, Artatika, Jigyasa, Jnani. One who is Krishna mentions 4 types of persons who approach him. Persons who are suffering, persons who are seeking some material gain, persons who are simply curious, and then those who are actually sincerely seeking spiritual knowledge. And Krishna says, actually all of these persons, they are blessed souls. They're all fortunate. Just the fact that they have any desire to approach the Lord, that means they're blessed, they're fortunate. And we can also have some consciousness, right? That we may have some awareness that, oh, my Lord, I don't have anything proper to offer you, right? But I'm just offering you whatever I have, In Sri Guru and His Grace, there's a very beautiful passage. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is speaking about this verse, Matulyo nasti papatma naparadi cha Kṛṣṇa parihare pi lajja me kim bruve purushottama. It's a very intense verse of deep humility. We hear from Rupa Goswami, coming from Rupa Goswami, where Rupa Goswami is saying, there's no one more sinful than I. There's no one more offensive than I. I'm ashamed even to come before you, but what can I do, right? This is Kim Bruve Purushottam. What can I say? What can I say? This is my situation. Matulyo nasti papatma. You won't find anyone more sinful than I. Naparadi chaka. No, won't find anyone more offensive than I. Matulyo nasti papatma. Naparadi chakaspari hare pilaja me. I am ashamed even to come in front of you, my Lord. What can I say? Kim bruve purushottam. What shall I say, my Lord? And in Sri Guru and His Grace, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about this verse, and he's saying, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's way of explaining verses is so capturing, because he has this, normally if we're like reading verses and translations, it's it feels like a studious exercise, right? But when you hear Srila Sridhar Maharaj's explanations, it's like he unlocks something, and you suddenly feel like this verse is so deeply relevant, like he opens the inner heart of the verse, and in very profound and very heart-touching way explains these verses. But in Sri Guru and his way, maybe we can actually just read it now because it's so beautiful. I'm just going to open it up here. I've got Kṛṣṇa searched open. So he's saying there, he says, no, normally persons offer you so many pure things like flowers, but I only have my filthy self, he says. Let me see if I can find it here in our Kṛṣṇa search. Here it is. My Lord, I feel that this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's rendering of this verse, which we just discussed. My Lord, I feel ashamed. How shall I offer you so many pure things like flowers? Generally, pure things are offered to you. But what about me? I've come with the most filthy thing to offer to you. I feel ashamed. I have come to you with only my shame to beg for your mercy. There is no parallel to my sinful, criminal life. Everything that can be conceived of as bad is found in me. It is very difficult even to speak about the characteristics of my heinous sins and crimes. Still, your nature, existence, fame, and benevolence cannot but attract me. You can save me. You can purify me. Hoping against hope, I have come to you. And I have only one solace, that I am the real object of your mercy. Your tendency is to purify the meanest. Those who are the most needy have some claim to your mercy. I am the worst of the needy and the meanest of the mean. Here, mean is in old-fashioned English. It means small. And the modern usage means like unkind, right? But here, mean as in small. I am the worst of the needy and the meanest of the mean. This is my only qualification, my only hope to attract your attention and appeal to your magnanimity. Right. But this line always sticks with me. Normally persons are offering you so many pure things like flowers, but I only have my own self. I have my own impure self. I have nothing else. So this is our program. Whatever we have, we're offering, whatever it may be. Children are making mud pies and offering it to their parents, right? That's our situation. We're not actually capable of rendering pure service, because real service is something that is expressed by the soul, right? Real chanting, the real chanting of the real name cannot be done with this material tongue, right? It is all spiritual. Everything is spiritual that we're approaching. So with all these coverings that we have of the mind, the body, the ego, it's, we can't really do pure service at this point. There's something coming through because we have the connection of Guru and Vaishnava. We're in the proper channel, right? We're offering what we do. And this is also one reason why the link of the Guru is important, right? Because we're offering what we have to Sri Guru, and he is converting that, right? He's preparing that, and he's offering that up, within the line of gurus, and then that is going to the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave a very nice analogy, right? Just like how the pujari in the temple, right? When he's making a fruit offering, right? He prepares that fruit. He's cutting it, peeling, washing it, cutting it, peeling it, and so on, purifying it, preparing it. and then offering it to the Lord. And in the same way, Guru is doing that with us, right? He's receiving our raw, faulty offerings, and he's preparing it, he's converting it, right? And then he is offering that up, you know. So this is one reason why we're very fortunate to have the connection of the Vaishnavas, right? Because we're not able to directly approach. So, but yes, you know, whatever we have, we're giving that, you know. We can connect the Lord to everything in our life, right? Of course, we will be aware that certain circumstances may be very mixed up, you know, but, oh Lord, this is the circumstance I'm in, you know, please help me, please guide me, please bring me closer to you, right? Mhm. Well, there's a lot.
Dandavas Vishaka Didi, sorry, joined a little late.
Dandavat, Ramananda Prabhu, welcome. And I think Dulal
Thank you.
Krishna Prabhu also joined. Welcome. Have a beautiful group today. Well, there's a lot more that could be said on that topic, but maybe that's enough for now. Mhm. And Ananda Krishna Prabhu also had a question about Janava Devi. We visited her, it was her sitting place, you said, in Vrindavan. I think some of you will have seen next to Radha Kund, there's one like small temple that's been built and is dedicated to her, Janava Devi. And so for those who don't know, Janava Devi, she was the consort of Nityananda Prabhu, right? Nityananda Prabhu actually married two sisters, Janava Devi and I forget the name of her sister, maybe someone here.
Vasudha. Vasudha.
Vasudha Devi, that's right. Thank you, Prabhu. Vasudha Devi, that's right. Um, and it was actually Vasudha Devi who was the mother of Virachandra, wasn't it? And Virachandra took initiation from Janava, who was technically his aunt. And then it was then Virachandra, he went on to become a great leader amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So who's Janava Devi? So she was the consort of Nityananda Prabhu, and she actually had a very important role amongst the group of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We hear after Nityananda Prabhu left the world, then she became the leader in the group of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, right? Nityananda Prabhu, he remained in the world a little bit longer than Mahaprabhu, and so Nityananda Prabhu, you know, he was still there to give strength to the group of Mahaprabhu's followers for some time. But then after he left, it was Janava Devi who was like a very strong pillar in the society of Mahaprabhu's followers. There was one very grand festival. It was actually the first Gaur Purnima festival, and it was held in Keturigram, right, which was the village of Narottam Thakur, right? Narottam Thakur, he was more or less the host, I believe, and it was a very special gathering, like the first of its kind, where Gaudiya Vaishnavas gathered from all over India. Um, and they had this wonderful celebration for Gaur Purnima. And there were 6 deities installed at that time. And we hear Janava Devi, just to give an indication of what kind of position she had. She was the like the head. She was presiding over the whole festival. It was like, yeah, maybe like a 1 week festival, something like that. She had many, many disciples. Um, we also hear, and I mean, I'm just kind of thinking of everything that I've heard about her. It's not so much. We also hear when many of you are familiar with this trio, right? Narottam, Shamananda, and Srinivas, right? They came as young boys, like around 15 years old. They came to stay in Vrindavan. Um, and they all studied under Jiva Goswami, right? Narottam, Shamananda, Srinivas. They studied under Jiva Goswami. And then at a certain point, they were given this mission to bring the writings of the Goswamis over to Bengal, right? All the things that the 6 Goswamis had been working on, all the wonderful texts, which now are so easily available, right? Thanks to modern technology. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Upadeshamrita, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and so on. And perhaps, I haven't had it confirmed, but some say Chaitanya Charitamrita was also in that collection of books. But it was Janava Devi, not so many know, it was Janava Devi who made the request over in Bengal, like, please, we want to read these books too. All the devotees in Bengal are hearing about these wonderful books that the 6 Goswamis are working on in Vrindavan in their little huts, little, caves, living under trees, living their extreme lifestyle in Vrindavan. They're working on all these extraordinary books. But all the devotees in Bengal, they don't have access. And so we hear it was actually Janava Devi. She has this role as a figurehead in the society of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. She's the one who sent the request over to Jiva Goswami, like, please share with us, bring some of these books over. And so it was on her request that Jiva Goswami sent Narottam, Shamananda, and Srinivas, these 3 young men, with this precious cartload of books. And that's a whole other story, right? And then those books got stolen along the way, and so on and so forth. But yes, then it was not long after that Narottam Thakur organized this grand celebration in his hometown, Ketodigram. And Janavi Devi, she was she presided over, she was the guest of honor and the highest guest of honor in this grand assembly. So yeah, that's all that I can say about her. And then, as I mentioned, Veer Chandra Prabhu, technically her nephew, he took initiation from her. And then he, after she left the world, he became like the next, significant leader in the group of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So, she had a very important position, and her legacy was also very important, significant. So that's all I can really say about her. I don't know if anyone else knows anything they'd like to share. And Srinivasacharya, amongst this trio I mentioned, right, Narottam, Shaman, and Srinivasacharya, was his daughter, since we're on the topic of, Vaishnavis and Gaudiya history. Srinivasacharya, he was also an important preacher, right? In Mahaprabhu's line, few generations after Mahaprabhu left, and it was his daughter Hemalata Thakurani. She was also a very great Vaishnava. She would have, she was younger, but she would have also been in the, association of Janava Devi. That whole group would have been together at one time. And their samadhi, Srinivasa and his daughter Hemalata, their samadhis are together in Vrindavan, not far from the famous Shiva temple. Well, I suppose there's a few famous Shiva temples there, but one of the main ones in Vrindavan. It's interesting in Vrindavan, like somehow like some temples have become very famous and wealthy and attract so many people. And there are other ones, they're also very important temples, but somehow they didn't, win the popularity vote and they're kind of tucked away. But it actually makes them more precious. And this last time I was in Vrindavan, I hadn't I hadn't been to that temple. It's really tucked away. This is a temple of Srinivasacharya, and I believe it's his personal deities that are there today still. And then his samadhi is there along with his daughter Hemalata. And there's also a third Vaishnava who's also there in samadhi. Is it Ramachandra Puri, maybe? But it's like really tucked away and and you can see they don't have that much money. It's not so well, a little run down, but it's also very beautiful and very charming, just that simplicity. And you see, the pujari every day is going on with the seva, maintaining the ashram, serving the deities, and it's very, very wonderful to see. So we're all trying to go on with our lives, right? Sometimes in big assemblies, sometimes more quiet groups, but we're going on day by day. Wow. Some nice comments in our chat. Welcome Somya Sham and Vijay and Nanda Prabhu. Getting ready for their Thursday program, I expect.
Yes, yeah.
And
So,
you've just returned from London.
yes, yeah, we were there for the anniversary festival of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari. The installation, it's the 13th, I think it was, the festival. So yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. It was very, very beautiful. I mean, like there's saints in that ashram, really, like in the temple, like Sachi Didi and Saraswati Didi, and just so many, oh my God, so many wonderful devotees. Madhusudan Maharaj was there visiting devotees from Sweet Lake City, Salt Lake City, from Brazil, from Australia, everywhere. It was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, we got to meet oh my God, sorry, my head, from Govardhan as well. Uma Didi as well was there. So it was
I
really,
saw in the pictures, I couldn't believe
mm,
it. Uma was there
yeah.
too. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. I see, is my camera still there? Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we
net
can
connection's there,
see
is
you.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. Yes, it was absolutely wonderful. And of course, like all kirtan is very beautiful and very special, and in the company by Raja Madhusudan Maharaj, but also then with Dayal Nidai Prabhu, he's the kirtan then on the Sunday. Oh my God, it would melt a
Oh,
stone.
Dayanidhi.
Really.
Dayanidhi.
Dainidi, yeah,
Mm.
Dainidi, yeah. I was like, his kirtan would melt a stone. Oh my God, it was just like,
I
he's
actually
so.
believe Dayanidhi's kirtan is number one in the world.
So
I
do I actually.
actually
Yeah, you
believe
can.
that.
I do too. You actually like not that I know anything and I don't, but I'm saying in the background you could like to me when I'm hearing it, it's like is Govinda Maharaj there? It's that kind of a feeling. It's like just it's very, very, very special. Very, very just
Yes.
something very, very beautiful about everything about his kirtan, the
Yes.
madonga. He's everything is very,
The
very beautiful. So
flute
anybody
and
that's
yeah, it's
there, not
extraordinary.
don't miss it. It's worth going for a visit just for that alone. Of course,
I'll
taking
second
darshan and
that.
seva and everything else, but it is absolutely wonderful. And we two beautiful of the Brenda Davis Tulsi plants were brought out. One of them for the first time ever, from the Tulsi Mandir, we'll say, into the main temple room and that. So look, it was absolutely wonderful. I can't really kind of describe how beautiful it was, but it was just surreal. It really was. Yeah, yeah. So, and each year, Saraswati was there. Saraswati Didi was, how was it? And she was wondering, like, and I was saying, look, every year it gets better, and it mightn't always think it, but every year it gets better. There's more seva, more devotees coming. It's even though the numbers mightn't be the same, and that changes, but like the mood and the seva and the devotion and the intention of people, it gets bigger every year. That's what I find. Even though physically the numbers mightn't change, or it could be a bit less or more. And then Gopal Prabhu as well from Colombia. He was there when we visited with you earlier on in the year.
Yes, yeah, he's a
Yeah,
lovely,
and
lovely boy.
very, very sweet devotee. Yeah, yeah, you would actually think he's Bengali, again, listening to him and that, but he's from Colombia. And of course, Radharani, Didi, and yeah, so many devotees there. But look, it's such an inspiration to be amongst them. So I'd advise everybody, even if it's stopover on your journey to somewhere else, West and East London, both. We went to East London then on Sunday, and for the Sunday program then. So that was it. But look, it was very, very, very special, very beautiful. So always worth going to. So Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, thank you for sharing something of the atmosphere. Beautiful, beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
So
All right. Well, we still have a little time. Does anyone want to bring up any other topic for our meeting today before we close?
Shaka Didi, I want to say something.
Yes,
I have a
Ramananda
request
Prabhu.
because Radhashtami is around the corner. Maybe you can tell something how to celebrate it properly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. How can we properly honor this day? Well, I mean, I don't think we can really. We just do our best. It's a very high day. So, for those who aren't aware, this coming Sunday is the divine appearance day of Srimati Radharani, right? Who is beloved of Sri Krishna, who is one half of the absolute truth, right? Representing the divine feminine potency, predominated moiety in the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And ultimately, for those in this line, the Rupanuga line, for those of substantial feeling, she is the object of our service and devotion. So it's a very important day for us. And we hear that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he had such deep affinity for Srimati Radharani, and we hear that he called Radhashtami the happiest day of the year. The happiest day of the year. That was his feeling. And of course, we can try to say a little something about her glories, but if we're just speaking practically about how to observe, we do fast until noon on that day. Traditionally, on the appearance day of the Lord, then we fast until the time of his appearance. And so in the case of Radharani, she appeared around noontime, and so we are fasting until that time. And we want to have some remembrance, right? Whether it's hearing some talks from our gurus or reading from their words. There's a chapter in Affectionate Guidance by Srila Govinda Maharaj on Radhashtami, which some of you might like to look at. There's also a chapter in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's book. I think it's Subjective Evolution of Consciousness, the last chapter there, that is on Srimati Radharani. That is somewhere you could look. There's also, I was personally thinking of there are some sections in Chaitanya Charitamrita which are glorifying Srimati Radharani very beautifully. Gurudev is actually quoting from those verses in that chapter in Affectionate Guidance. So I'm sure, Gurudev would be pleased if you want to chant those verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then, of course, we also have some kirtan, some songs, devotional songs, which are specifically glorifying her. And because the position of Radharani is so high, and so we are approaching her so carefully, right, very cautiously, we generally don't sing those songs regularly throughout the year. But on the day of her divine appearance and few other special occasions throughout the year, then we will sing them. So, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, it's a little more general. Radhika Charana Padma, that's another very beautiful song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We actually have a playlist it's a recording from like 1983 in Navadip Radhashtami. I'll share it in our group, actually. It's a pretty rare and special recording. Yeah, I mean, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Navadip, early 80s, doesn't get more authentic than that, right? We're so fortunate to have those. So I'll share that. It's on our SoundCloud account. Okay, we're going to share it right now. Yeah. And yeah, so if we can cook a little something in honor of that day and offer that with our hearts, that of course is very nice if it's practical. She is, for those in our line, she's everything actually, right? And Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami of the six Goswamis, right? He is known for his particular devotion for Srimati Radharani. He spent his last days beside Radha Kund, right? And his bhajan kutir, his samadhi is there also. His samadhi is there. He spent his last days by Radha Kund, and we hear there was one prayer to Radharani he would chant every day on his hands and knees, and tears streaming down his face, it's very intense mood of ecstasy. And there's one prayer in particular that is remembered by our gurus, especially on the day of her divine appearance, where he's expressing this very extreme mood of devotion and also making it very, very clear, what our goal is, right? What is the goal of the Rupanuga line, right? And he very boldly states there, that ultimately my concern is with you, Radharani, not with Krishna. And this one verse in particular, we hear from Gurudev and Param Guru Maharaj, Ashabade Amitam Sindhu Mayai Katanchit Kalo Mayati Gamitaki Lasam Pratampi Tam Chet Kripam Mayi Vidasya Sinaiva Kimme Rajer Rajena Cha Vararu Bakarinapi. And he's expressing that, I'm maintaining my life on the aspiration that one day I can attain your service, right? That I'm waiting for that. My whole life air being is being sustained on this aspiration that one day I can receive your mercy. And he compares that hope that one day he can receive her grace. He says that hope, just that hope that I may get it, he compares that to Amrita Sindhu. It is like an ocean of nectar, that just the hope that I can one day receive your grace, that is like an ocean of nectar. And he says, and for so long, I've been dragging out my days in this hope, but now, how much longer can I go on? I need your mercy. I need your mercy. Please give me your mercy. And then he says, without your mercy, everything is useless to me. He says, my own life, my own pran, my own life is useless to me without your grace. And then he says, beyond that, even Vrindavan means nothing to me without you. And then he goes so far as to say, shockingly, what use is Kṛṣṇa? Without you, what use is Kṛṣṇa? But in that verse, he refers to Kṛṣṇa in a very surprising way. He refers to the name he refers to Kṛṣṇa by is Bakari Napi, means the killer of the Baka demon, right? Bakasura was one of the demons that tried to kill Kṛṣṇa on the order of Kamsa. And so he says, he doesn't say Kṛṣṇa, he says Bakari Napi, that demon killer. What use is that demon killer to me without you? Right? Last week, Kirtida brought up this question actually about Vasudev Kṛṣṇa, right? Because Kṛṣṇa without his potency is not full Kṛṣṇa actually, right? Kṛṣṇa without his Shakti, that is not the Kṛṣṇa that is worshipped by our gurus. That is not the beautiful, charming, most lovable Kṛṣṇa that we know something of, right? That is a different Kṛṣṇa. And so Raghunath is very boldly stating that here. Like, without you, Kṛṣṇa is a demon killer, right? That is what Vishnu kills demons at. Kṛṣṇa doesn't kill demons, actually. Vishnu kills demons. So without Radharani, you're not that beautiful Kṛṣṇa of Vrindavan. Without you, Kṛṣṇa means nothing to me. So this is this very bold, fervent, earnest prayer of Raghunath Das Goswami. And it's very important because he's like just explicitly, like there's no haziness here. He's very explicitly stating what the real goal and destination of the members of this line is, right? What is their aspiration, the service of Srimati Radharani? And so for that reason, Raghunath Das Goswami is actually known as our Prayojan Acharya, right? Means that he is the teacher who has shown us most clearly what is our Prayojan, what is our highest goal, what is our highest necessity. Right? And there is, another thing that comes to mind in these last moments of our meeting is that incident. Many of you are familiar with this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? That he was nearby Radha Kund with some of his disciples, and they observed one local king. He was doing circumambulation of Radha Kund, but doing it in this particularly reverential way of Dandavat Parikrama, right? Stretching out your full body and prostrating yourself, giving respects, marking the spot, and standing up, and like that, circumambulating. And so we hear this one disciple of Saraswati Thakur observed this, and he was excited, and he said, "Oh, Prabhupada, they have so much reverence for Radharani, like we also do." And Saraswati Thakur said, he said, actually, their standpoint is very different from ours. He said, we are, he said, our concern is with Radharani, right? We are worshiping Radharani. And because Radharani worships Krishna, then we're also worshiping Krishna. So our main concern, our first concern is with her. And he said, but for those people, it's just the opposite. They are concerned with Krishna. They are devotees of Krishna. And because Radharani is beloved to Krishna, then they're also worshiping Radharani. So apparently it looks the same, but the standpoint is completely different. So these are some, fine points of devotion, which, at our current stages are not, they're not so relevant, but it's important for us to at least have some understanding and awareness of these things. And over time, with divine grace, we may cultivate some real feeling within our barren hearts. So yes, this day is coming, very important day in our calendar, in our year. And in our temple, our Gurudev, in our Navadvip temple, our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, she actually arranged that we would have a big festival in Hapanya on this day. Why Hapanya? Because with the highest vision, we will see Sri Guru as the representative of Radharani, as the divine delegation of Radharani in this world, right? Radharani is the highest guru, actually, right? Ultimately, Nityananda and then Radharani, they are the two gurus in the eternal world, right? Baladev, he is guru of the Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya rasas, these relationships with the Lord. He is in that position of guru, giving shelter to the servitors in those rasas and those serving relationships. And then Radharani is the highest guru in Madhura rasa, in the amorous relationship with Krishna. And so as our own vision develops of Sri Guru, then that vision may come to us of seeing Guru as Radharani, the delegation of Radharani. Now we are encouraged more to see our Guru as the representative of Nityananda, Baladev, right? That is safer for us. But at a higher level of devotion, then this other vision may come to us, that the presence of Radharani is coming through our Guru. And then in the case of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, because Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's not only guru in a general sense, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj was a particularly exalted Vaishnava, to the point where even his own godbrothers, they would honor him in that way, as seeing the presence of Radharani within him. We hear of some occasion like that, when there was a special meeting that took place in Hapanya. So Hapanya is the birthplace, right, of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And there was this one occasion, our Gurudev was going to establish an ashram there. And there was a very special gathering he organized where he managed to convince Srila Sridhar Maharaj reluctantly, like, to come to Hapanya, identify the exact place of his birth. And that was where Gurudev wanted to have the main temple, and ultimately that was where the deities were installed, the exact place of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's birth. But there was this one special meeting when Gurudev brought Srila Sridhar Maharaj there, and also a number of his godbrothers came, and they spent a few days in Hapanya. And what was very extraordinary, Gurudev described, is that the that the talk all turns to Radharani, and that the godbrothers of Srila, even his own godbrothers, they had this type of vision that he had. He was a delegation of Radharani, something like this, and they were singing songs in glorification of Radharani. And so our Gurudev referred to Hapanya as a manifestation of Varshana, right, which is the birthplace of Radharani. So that was in Navadip, our observance of Radhashtami. It was the main festival was in Hapanya, interestingly, the birthplace of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So yes, that is the highest vision of Sri Guru. And Radharani, she is, ultimately, the highest Guru, Ashraya Vigraha. That is the position of Guru, giving shelter to others and assisting them in their service to Krishna. There is one comment that we hear of Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Maybe it's written in one of his purports where he says that when a new devotee comes to Vrindavan, Radharani, her mood is that she will go to Krishna and say, "Oh, Krishna, look at this very nice new devotee that has come. They are much better than me. Please give your mercy to them." That is her spirit, that is her spirit. So that is our great prospect, such glorious, loving guardians above our head. Okay, well, I'll stop there for today, going into some very high topics. Wish you all a very nourishing Radhashtami, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Any last comments before we close for today? Should we end there?
Thank you so much, Vishaka Didi. That was amazing. Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for bringing it up. Actually, I was feeling it was appropriate to say something, but I also felt shy to say something. So you helped me out of that dilemma. My gratitude for all of your good association. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Radhashtami Titi Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. See you all next time.